What up, everybody? It is January 2nd, the new year. I've got my guy Frank Payne from Pain Free Picks here with me tonight. What's up, Frank?
What's going on, Brian? How's things?
We're doing good. We're going to talk a little tour de force that starts here in about 3 weeks. Had a bunch of questions coming through email and social media. Just wanted to try to knock out a bunch of questions. If anybody's got any, I've got the chat window open. We can put your any questions up on the screen and answer them directly because I know there's a lot of first timers for season 3. We've had about 30 or 35 players in the first 2 seasons, and this season here we've already got quite a few more than that, and we're trying to get even more. So,
yeah, the first 2 seasons were awesome, a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to season 3. You look forward to each weekend when you could try to pick up some points.
Yep, and I've asked Frank to join mainly because he's been in the first 2 seasons, along with, I would say, probably about half the people have been repeating. Out of the 60 or so pre-entries that we've got, about half of them have been in this before, and the other half are new, which is cool. It's awesome, and I know that a lot of these guys will have questions that maybe they haven't even thought about yet. So I will hit a few of the basic rules in the schedule. Again, it starts January 22nd. I'll pull the schedule up here. Let me share this screen real quick. And amateur hour here. Never done this before. So, yeah, season 3. And as you can see, for the most part, actually for the entire part, season 3 is going to be just like season 1, which is basically the prep season for the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown races. So, starting with the LeCompte at Fairgrounds on the January 22nd, followed by basically every major Kentucky Derby prep race along the way. So some weeks you'll have 1 race, some weeks you'll have 2 or 3 races, all the way up to the last 3 is obviously the Derby, the Preakness, and Belmont. So a lot of opportunities, 25 rounds, 25 races, and the basics of this tournament. I'll put the rules up here as well, and we can talk about them. And Frank, you can just chime in if you've got any comments or questions as I roll through these, because you've been through this whole process a little bit. So first of all, it's $50 entry fee, and you can enter multiple times. I usually do 2 entries, and the theory on that, for me at least, is I like to play one a little more aggressive and then one a little more conservative, and see which theory works better. And to be honest with you, I haven't cashed in either of the first 2 seasons. I've been close in season 1. Season 2, I got far behind early and never made up any real ground. Frank, I believe you were close to cashing in season 2.
Yeah, I was up in, I think it was first or second for most of the tournament, and had a rough Breeders' Cup. So,
yeah, and the Breeders' Cup, that 14 race Breeders' Cup was about half of the season, all in one weekend. So,
yeah.
First and foremost, like I said, it's $50 entry. You can enter 10 times if you want. I mean, there's no rule on that. I think the most I've had is probably 10 or so guys entered it twice. I think we may have had somebody enter it 3 times, but I mean, there's no rule on that. There's you can invest in 2 or 3 or 5 entries for all I care. Where this is a little different than most tournaments is you get $100. Entries receive 100. This is rule 2 here, if you can read it, hopefully. Entries receive a mythical $100 to wager on each race. So, and basically you can bet in any bet type that is available on that race day. So if you want to bet $100 to win on a horse, you can. If you want to bet it to place or show, you can, and you can spend that $100 in any way you want, as long as rule 3 is it's 3 wagers maximum per race. So you can't sit here and make $2 here, $2 there, because the real reason for that is because a lot of this is scored by hand, and I'll be scoring this thing until next year if I allow too many bets. So
I think it worked out better. The first season 1 was 5 wagers, and I think the 3 wagers worked out a lot better.
Yeah, because I think most guys choose to do 2 or 3 anyway, or even a lot of guys just pick 1, which is fine. Again, you can bet 1, 2, or 3. And by the way, like like a win place bet only counts as one bet. So if you do a $50 win place, or a $20 win place, that's one bet. Or like an exacta box with 3 horses, that's one bet. That doesn't count as, 6 bets. So that kind of covers that question too. But you can make a total of 3 wagers. It has to be less than the $100 allowance. Rule 3, like I said, maximum of 3 wagers. It's if you submit more than 3, the most recent wagers will take precedence. Basically, that means if you put a bet in and your horse scratches late or something, and you put another bet in, the most recent bet that you put in is going to take precedence over the old one. So you don't have to send me a last minute email panicking saying, "Oh, my bet, my horse scratched. Please put in horse number 2 instead of horse number 6." Just resubmit the bet. And we'll automatically score it as the most recent one is your bet. So that's just to clarify. If you submit more than $100 worth of bets, we're going with the most recent $100 worth of bets again. So you can't really screw it up. If you put a $100 worth of bets in and there's a scratch and you got to redo it, if you redo it the proper way and you with the scratch, in the equation or whatever the change is, it's automatically going to be the most recent one. So don't worry about, panicking and sending an email or anything like that. I know that happens all the time. So, Rule 4, entries must wager a minimum of $75 mythical dollars per race. If an entry fails to wager a race, 75 of their 100 will be forfeited. Basically, if you are out of town or on vacation or just flat out forget that there's an event that weekend and don't bet, you will get to keep $25 of your 100 that you started with, but you will forfeit 75. It's just a way of keeping people from just trying to build up their $100 without betting if they got like a big lead or something like that. So
make sure you get the bets, and I've done it a couple of times. If you wait till the last minute, you get shut out. So just like at the track, just make sure you get your bets in on time.
Yeah, I usually tell everybody to try to get them in like 15 minutes early, so that if there is a late scratch or something, they're already able to, just like you'd be sitting we've all done this a million times at the track where you're racing back to the ticket window frantically because something changed or whatever.
How about that race? I think it was a Breeders' Cup where that horse went for no purse and it cost you.
Yes. That crushed everybody. I mean, I had a mutual fund. You were a part of that too. It crushed the pick 4. We had a nice pick 4. I believe it was a pick 4.
Oh yeah, we had a nice pick 4 going there.
And that horse that didn't
won easy
killed us. But yeah, there's a good example. If you were on the ticket, or if you were at the tote window, you could have fixed that. But that's
I've never seen it before.
Our bet submission form, by the way, takes like 2 seconds to put a bet in. It's just as quick as going up to the computer totes at a horse track. And as you saw in rule number 1, you have to submit through a form. You can't just call me or email me and say, "Here's my bets." It has to go through this form, because that way, if there's anybody challenging, and a lot of people, we were just talking about this before we went on. A lot of people will not even really remember what they put in without going and rechecking it back later. So it's to your benefit that there's a form that has all 200 bets for everybody on there that we can refer back to, and they're time stamped to keep people from, trying to put their winning bets in after. So
I just added the Tour de Force betting slip onto my tab. So it's right there. That's another way to do it. It's right. You just click
it's in my favorites, or I have a link in my phone too, so you can do it in 2 seconds. Rule 5, each of the 30 races, which was season 2, it's actually 25, listed in the schedule, are treated as separate bankrolls. This is important. For example, if you wager $100 in the first race and you lose everything, you will receive a score of 0 for the first race, but you will have a fresh $100 for the second race. So it's kind of like if you went to each event somebody would hand you $100 bill. That's how this works. If you blow the 100 and you lose it all, you go to the next event and somebody's going to hand you $100 again. That's how this works.
So if you have 500 in the bank and then you bet 100, you don't go down to 400. You still keep your 500. You're just building off that 500.
Yes, but you can't wager more than the 100 that
right.
So,
right. But it doesn't come off your bankroll though. Like,
right.
So if you have 500 and you bet that 100, you don't go to 4. You're still at 5, and you can build off that.
Yep. And I'll show you. Yeah. I'll show you the last couple of years worth the standings, and you'll get a better idea from that. So furthermore, if you wager $100 on the first race and you turn it into 500, your score from the first race is 500, but you will start the second race with a fresh 100 again. And that's kind of what you were just saying. So you'll get your score for the first or for that round would be 500, but you couldn't spend all 500 in the next round. You would just get the 500 and have 100 to play with on the next race. And I'll explain that, or I'll show you that in a graphic. It's a way easier to explain and understand there. And the last rule is cumulative scores for all 25 events will determine the champion. And what I'm trying to do here too, depending on how many people we get in this tournament, and we do have 60 pre-registered, I want to give back a weekly winner or for each event, each of the 25 events. It'd be cool to at least give like 20 or 25 bucks back for every round. So if you come out and to pull up the schedule again, if you win, I don't know, the LeCompte week 1, race 1, if you have the highest score that week, you'd get 25 bucks or whatever. And you'd get that right then. And then in round 2, whoever had the best score for that particular race would get 25 bucks.
So basically, if you win two weeks, it covers your entry fee. So,
and that kind of also keeps you interested if you're in 29th place the last month of the tournament and there's only a few rounds left. You could still at least try to go for the $25 weekly prize or whatever, which is cool. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a loser bracket in fantasy football or something where you still have something to shoot for, even if you're way out of it in points. So that pretty much covers the schedule and the rule basics. I don't see, let's see, I got.
And the good thing about that is you don't lose $100. So I think it helps your betting strategy. So you could be a little bit more aggressive because if let's say you had this week 2 and you're up $600, you don't have to worry about losing that $100. It's just a bet going. You can always add to your score. You can't take off of it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're playing for nothing except a weekly prize because you're way out of it, yeah, I think it, like you said, it gives you a little bit different strategy that, you'd probably maybe take a shot at a superfecta or something just to try to a longer shot than you normally would because you're not really necessarily hoping to win the tournament at that point, but you could win a week easily. And like you said, two of those event wins and you'd pay off your entry fee. So HRFZ, who's one of the top players in this tournament in season 2, is the betting format the same? Yes, it pretty much is identical. The only difference is the form will be hopefully a little more intuitive and easier to use, which it already was real simple, but I'm basically doing mostly improvements. So for visibility, that you guys will be able to see everybody else's bets a lot quicker, and also that it's going to be easier for me to score. But other than that, dude, it's pretty much the same because I think it's worked really well. I've only had positive feedback, to be honest. I mean, there's been a couple times where I screwed up a score and corrected it for guys, and they were always cool about it because they know for the most part this is done by myself or somebody close to me by hand, and it's mistakes can happen. But it's been all good positive feedback.
The one thing we're going to try to do, right, Brian, you said is either you write down what you bet or it'll save, correct, where they can see what you bet.
Oh yeah, I can, and anybody that's been in the tournament before that had any question with a result that I posted, and there has been, there's been 2 or 3 times where I was wrong and they asked me to take a look at it and I corrected it and everybody was happy. I mean, it even happened in the Breeders' Cup. One of the rounds, somebody hit a real nice exacta and I had their score wrong. And it was because they had entered a bet that was a key box versus I just thought it was a straight key and I read it wrong and just scoring it because I was scoring it 200 bets on, in that few hours. I missed it and made a mistake, but I got it corrected. And that's why I usually don't submit the results until I've given everybody a chance to look them over and basically protest what I have there. And I would say I'm probably correct with my results the first time, like 98% or something. So, and I always tell everybody check them because I'm not a robot. I make mistakes. So I don't know. I think it's for the most part, it's worked out really well the way it's done. And I am open to suggestions if there's anybody who wants to change any specific rules, but I don't want to change the format here because I think it's working good. Frank, do you have anything that you would change about the format?
No, just like the bet, just the bet submission. Like there's times where I forgot if I didn't write down what I bet and I hit submit, and I at the first one I had 2 entries and I'm like, oh, which one was which?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If it could just save what we bet, that'd be cool. It doesn't have to show to everybody, but as long as it's saved it, so we know what we put in. I usually write it down now just because I made that mistake once. I'm like, geez, did I do the box in this one or did I put the win place in that one? If I had 2 entries, but it's a good form. It's easy. As long as we can try to figure out if we could save what we entered.
Yeah, we're trying to get more visibility on that for this, and we'll have more visibility for once you submit your bet. What I'm working on is that once the race goes off live, you should be able to go in there and see everybody's bets, which will, then you can, if you're in a close race for the top spot in the tournament, and you'll be able to see who bet what live. So, or within reason, not necessarily up to the minute live, but probably within 15 minutes or something like that. So I forgot, I was going to share some past results, and this is season 1 as an example of what I meant by you get $100 per race. So you can see the guy who won, Matt Hensing, he won season 1. First round here, he blew his $100, had nothing left. Second round, he blew his $100, had $4 left to show at the end of it, but he went into the third round. At this point, he'd have gone into the third round. Still, he'd walk in. Again, just consider yourself walking into a new race. He would have got $100 for the withers here. His $4 stays in his account. His I don't know, account, however you want to say that. But it's basically a score. This $4 he keeps forever. And he gets the new 100 here, new 100 here, new 100 here. And as you can see below with Vinny got second in the first season. He scored 278 at the second round here, but he still only gets to play 100 at the withers. He doesn't get to play all 278. So it's basically like walking into a race with a $100 bill each time. It's its own separate entity. And you can never bet more than that 100. So it's pretty simple, real simple. I don't see a whole lot of questions rolling in. I was hoping for, or maybe everybody just thinks it's brilliant the way it is. I don't know, Frank, but
it must be. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. There's several people on live looking in and not commenting or chatting or whatever. So that's good. I think that's a good sign. And there's several others on Facebook Live watching all this stuff. So I think we got a lot of people watching. There's just, I think really, I believe it's worked out pretty well the way it is. And I agree with you. The one thing that I wanted to improve for sure is the visibility, like once the bets are submitted, because that could be improved. So I don't know. I've got, like I said, I've got 60 plus pre-registrations, and we have about 2/3 of that at this point has paid up. So this will be the biggest season yet with at least, I'm going to say at least 50 or 60 entrants. And I'd like to see it get to 100. So
the cool part about it is it goes for like 5-6 months. So it's like it gets you through the spring. You get to watch the races. It's all the big races leading up to the Kentucky Derby. It gets you familiar with the horses that are going to be running in the Derby. And
it forces you to by the time you get to the Triple Crown, dude, you'll know all these horses. You will at least have seen every one of the horses at least once or twice. And
you can see about
the fun of
multiple tracks too. It's multiple tracks too. So, there's certain tracks that you might not play much, fairgrounds or whatever it could be. I think there's even one at Sunland Park, right?
Yep.
Sunland Derby.
Sunland Derby. There's one at Golden Gate. Yeah. There's some offshoot tracks that it forces you to play. And the good thing is, like you said, it's $50 and you get a few months of fun out of it. And it's the most you can, even if you blow out and get last place in the event, it's $50 for a whole
6
lot
months.
of
6 months of work. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Scott says Scott's new, I believe this is his first season, but he's been around. He's been a profits guy for a long time. So if you have an example of the bets that were made in a previous season, yeah, that's a good point. First things first, what you're saying here, all the bets are single race bets. There is no pick threes. Unfortunately, there's no way to do that. So basically you can bet win place shows. You can bet exactas straight, exacta box, exacta keys, exacta key box. You can bet trifectas and superfectas. Whatever's available at the ticket booth for that race, for that single race, you can bet. Since all these races are different tracks and different days, a lot of them, you cannot bet multiple race wagers like pick threes and pick fives or even daily doubles. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, for the most part, it's for just generally speaking, it's a single race bets. But pretty much anything you can bet at the racetrack on that specific race, you can bet here.
Super high five, you could do stuff like that if you really wanted to. But
yep, yeah, anything that's available. If you can go on TVG app or bet it live at the track on that specific race, you can bet it here. So it sucks. I wish there was a way to do the pick threes and that, but with the races being all over the place and all over the calendar, there's no way to do that. Thought about doing that for the Breeders' Cup since half the schedule was all weekend, but all right, that works for Scott. That works for me. Frank, anything else you can think of? Because we can keep this pretty short.
As you get towards the tournament, try to develop a strategy, and it could change throughout the tournament. Like if you're in a lead, you can go win play shows. If you're behind, you might want to go at a high 20, 30 hour exacta box with 3 horses or whatever. So the cool part is you could change your strategy as you go. It's just a mythical $100 each week. But I think it helps your betting too. It helps you for your conservative better. Sometimes you take a risk,
it really does. If you get down a couple grand in the standings, you're sitting here going, even if I win this horse is 4-1, that's not enough. I gotta get more creative. Yeah, it does. It kind of opens your mind a little bit. And going back to season 1, the guy who won it, Matt Hensing, again, I think he won about 90% of his whole season in one race. And he
the trifecta or something, right?
Yeah, the winners are going to be like the $3,000 to $5,000 total at the end of it, like range. And he hit for like I want to say it was like 4,400, 4,600 in one race. And it was like, it was a wild trifecta. He took a shot and he took down the whole tournament in that race. And I remember that season 1, I was involved. I was in the top 5 or 10 the whole year. Vinny, a few others that are friends of the show here. It was a great season. Then here comes Matt Hensing out of nowhere and just blasts through. I think he was in dead last, took the lead, and he had a big enough lead. So,
and that's in season 2. I had a lead. I had a pretty big lead season 2, and it wilted away. So it could go both ways,
Oh yeah, what's up, Ryan? Past champion.
Hey, Ryan,
I believe
there he is.
Celebrity on the board here.
There he is.
Season 2 champ, I believe, and then we got Armchair in the house. What's up, man? Good to have you guys on. If you missed anything,
you might pop the rules back up there if they want to see them.
Yeah, for the guys that were in at the first, or especially season 2, the rules really aren't changing. It's basically just the form's going to change a little bit to be a little better, more better visibility for after you submit a bet, what you can actually see. So, other than that, man, I'm good with keeping this thing pretty short. I can edit it down and do a shorter video for the guys who are doing it for the first time that just
don't
care about all our BS. What's that?
Note too, Brian does a nice job recapping Brian and Tom recapping every week the top 10, which is pretty cool. I look forward to looking for those every week. Like, where do you stand? And it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do that again this season, especially we're trying to get, I mean, obviously I think this is going to be easily the biggest one yet, season 3, but I would like to see it, get to 100 people would be the goal for this one. And we're over halfway there now. So with 3 weeks left, although I'm going to probably have to lock up the registration at least a few days early. So let's see. First time joining, got Keith. Thanks for explaining. Looking forward to it. Yeah, man. If you got any questions, guys, just seriously, you guys all have my email or social media stuff. I'll answer it. I'm not too cool for replying to anything. So I'm glad you joined, Keith. Welcome, man. Good luck. Armchair. Can't wait for the season. Going to be a tough field. Yes, it is. It's going to be. There's definitely some new blood in there too for season 3. I think there's probably about half the field is new. So,
and that's the cool part too. You start meeting handicappers and you start to know them a little bit, and it's a good way to keep the horse players around together.
Competing, yeah. This is going to be this is going to be the biggest, at least in terms of. I'm never going to be the guy to play a $10,000 entry fee tournament in anything. I've played really a lot higher stakes poker back in the day in some tournaments. I used to get in some wildly crazy stuff there. Not doing it here. I wanted to keep this small enough entry fee wise, like $50 is plenty. I contemplated doing 100, but the thing is, like, you can do, if you have a $50 entry, but there's 1,000 people in it, that's a pretty big pool that you can win from, which I think we could get to eventually. And that's what, like the poker boom 20 years ago, that's what it was. And you could go into a tournament, enter for $50, and you could walk out of there winning 20 grand or something. That'd be the goal of this tournament, is to keep it small for entry fee. So, most of us 9 to 5 working males, females can get out here, do their job, afford it without getting hurt, but take a shot and maybe win a big pool.
Well, $50 for 6 months, you can't beat it. Didn't we have Penny Ponches? We have a few females in the tournament, didn't we?
Yeah, we've definitely had a few over there. We definitely had a few in each one. We're looking forward to the biggest field yet. I think there's at least a few for season 3, and I'd like to, another thing too with the weekly recaps. If we can get anybody to come on here and talk a little trash about how great they are, that'd be fun.
I don't know if Ryan was here. He heard that we're looking to do a weekly winners. Try to get back $25 a week if you could win the week.
Yeah, that's the other thing about having a lot. The more entries, the more we can do with. My whole goal all along was to have weekly winners, because, like I said, if you're 2/3 of the way through the season and you're down by $2,000, you're probably not trying to necessarily win the tournament. And that's if we give back 25, maybe even more, depending on how many entries, $25 per event, it gives you a reason to stick around and keep trying to win. Because, I mean, you could, like we said, you could win 2 or 3 events late in the year and pay off your entry fee, even if you don't really have a shot to win the whole tournament. So all good, man. Hey, yeah, Armchair says he's got a few guys on the fence to join. Let's go. What do we need to do to persuade them? Because the more the merrier for me. I'm not making any money off of this thing other than, like I mentioned in the email, I'm scraping a couple bucks off the top of every entry fee to basically pay for. There are PayPal fees and bank transfer fees, and plus I got to sit on a few $1,000 in my account, and it's just a whole hassle with transferring between banks and then paying everybody back. So I'm not trying to make money on this deal. I'm trying to grow my channel and trust the profits following and stuff like that. That's where I'm benefiting from it. I'm not trying to make money off of this. So just to be clear on that. But yeah,
trust
weekly payouts.
Trust the profits. Pick 5 today. Oaklawn.
Crushing it lately. Just absolutely crushing it, which is
natural
awesome.
Pick 4 too. So good
I
day
saw,
today.
yeah.
Oaklawn.
Pick 4, get a singled all 4, played it for 50 cents if you want.
50 cents. Yep. Paid 800. I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely, Ryan, we're definitely going to do the weekly payouts, even if it's, the minimum I would do is $20 or $25 per event. So that's a go for sure. Peter really liked the idea of the weekly winner. I have a high week winner. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I took that idea from. Is we used to do that in fantasy football every week too. That way, if you're 3-8 in fantasy football and you're pretty much done, at least you can try to hit the home run for a week or two. So
I'm in a fantasy golf one as well. It goes the whole year long, and there's weekly prizes. Tops 125 or first for 125, then 75 and 50 or something like that. So, but there's like 150 guys at $100 a pop, so it works out well. Pays for entry fee.
yeah, exactly, man. So all right, if there's nothing else, dude, I'm available by email, Twitter, Facebook, Trust the Profits. I think we definitely have an Instagram, but I suck at Instagram. I'm too old for it. I don't know. I'm on there once in a while. If you send a message there, I'll probably get it. But Twitter, I'm on and pretty good with. Facebook, I'm on and pretty good with. So send us a message or just a straight up email. We'll get it taken care of. And let's go, dude. This is going to be awesome. I'm excited. It's only 3 weeks away at this point, less than 3 weeks. So let's get the Derby season kicked off. Frank, anything else before we close out?
No, I can't wait. Looking forward to get started and try to get a few more players in, and let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, guys, share it with your friends. And, if you got I was even considering splitting one. Like, I think Frank even mentioned it too. Like, yeah. I got a guy who wants to do it, but he's a little leery. I was like, I'll split one with you. And we can kind of put our heads together as far as the betting goes, because, some people they haven't done a tournament, so they don't get it until they do it. But it's so simple. This tournament's super simple. So
it's fun. Anyhow, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's good. It's a great time. Like I said, it's 6 months of entertainment. Yeah. You don't even have to bet outside of here. If you don't have the money and you got the $50 to put in here, you don't have to bet anymore at the track if you don't want to, because now you got interest in this tournament. So and let Trust the Profits do your homework for you. And
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All right, Frank, thanks for joining, man. Again, with the questions and comments, shoot them to emails or comment on this video. We'll get those too. So peace out. Thanks, everyone.
See you later, guys.